As I mentioned in my last video, I've been dealing with shin pain for the last year. Technically, it's called MTSS, Medial Tibial Stress Syndrome, but most people know it by the old term of shin splints. For me, it felt like a nagging and sometimes sharp pain about 1/3 down on the inside of my left shin. Sometimes I felt it on my right shin as well, but mostly on my left. And the more I started to run, the more I felt this pain. In this video, I will share with you how I overcame this injury without having to stop completely with running. And hopefully my experience can help you as well. So a small disclaimer, I am a physiotherapist and I work a lot with runners. I have quite some running experience myself as well. But if you are dealing with pain, don't blindly follow my advice. Try to reach out to someone with experience nearby. This will be some general advice which really helped me, but might not be suited for you. But first, let's talk about what went wrong in my training. You can get away with bad running technique if you increase your mileage slowly. But even having perfect technique won't save you if you ramp up too fast. So the number one key is controlled gradual progression. And this is where I went wrong. I simply built up my running volume too aggressively after I stopped running after my Rotterdam Marathon. It all started with a nagging pain during running, mostly on the first 2 kilometers, and then it slowly sank away. But it started getting worse and worse, and after a while I felt it while walking down the stairs, I felt it while walking on the flat areas. Every run I went on, it started to hurt more. The inside of my shin felt bruised. Once I realized this, I drastically decreased my running volume to give my shin some time to heal. From there, I started to gradually rebuild my running volume. But next to this really slowly gaining more volume, I also made some key adjustments. And all these smart adjustments took more pressure off my shin. Let me explain. So I will name 5 key adjustments which helped me unload my shin. First and most important is the cadence. For me, increasing my running cadence helped me a lot. This massively reduced the impact I felt on my shin while running. Many runners, a cadence of 170 steps per minute or higher helps to reduce the shock on your lower legs, regardless of pace. Of course, everybody has their own natural rhythm. If you're longer, your cadence might be a little bit higher. If you're running faster, it's easier to get your cadence up. But for me, it helped to ease the load of my shin. So for now, even on my slower runs, I try to hit at least 170 steps per minute, but preferably I go a little bit higher. For me, it's easy to reach a cadence higher than 180 steps per minute. The second adjustment for me was rotating shoes. If you always run on the same shoes, every step you take is more or less exactly the same load on your shin. But if you start rotating type of shoes, the load on your shin gets different every time. The load is not going anywhere, but the stress is not at the same point in the shin all the time. So by rotating shoes, you're spreading out the stress, which gave my shin a small break. So basically, if you're trying to increase your volume, you're trying to spread the stress on your shin as much as possible. So you're shifting your cadence, maybe a little bit higher, reduces the shock immediately. You're varying shoes, but you're also varying your underground. So I ran in forest, I ran in treadmill, I ran in sand, I ran on the road. I tried to shift as much as possible. If you're only running on asphalt, the stress and the hits on your shin are quite hard and repetitive all the time. The fourth adjustment is strength training. For me, especially strength training of the glute medius and the tibialis posterior. Now let's dive a little bit deeper in this strength training because this is very interesting. First of all, when we talk about MTSS, it's mostly linked to running technique or volume, but sometimes you have some weaker links in your system which need some more attention. Because these weaknesses in controlling areas might lead to a stabilization problem. So the glute medius helps you to stabilize your hips and your knees while running. If this one is too weak or gets tired too fast, your knee starts to cave in, which leads to overpronation and a bigger load on the inside of your shin. The tibialis posterior is a deeper shin muscle. It stabilizes your arch of the foot and helps you to prevent overpronation. If your glute medius is weak, your hip drops. And this leads to more torsion and a rotation down the leg, increasing the stress on the inside of the shin. By strengthening the glute medius, you are able to keep your pelvis stable, reduce excessive knee collapse, and take the strain of the shin. My 2 go-to exercises for the glute medius are a side plank, a control step down, a reverse lunge with the knee up, or banded squats. But also a crab walk and many other exercises might be suitable. The tibialis posterior. The tibialis posterior helps you to maintain a strong arch of the feet, but also reduces overpronation. Pronation isn't bad. Excessive and uncontrolled overpronation increases the strain on your shin a lot. Strengthening your tibialis posterior might help you to reduce this overpronation and control the way your foot moves during running. I try to isolate my tibialis posterior with the tibialis posterior curl. I don't know the exact name for this exercise, but mostly I try to maintain a strong arch while doing other movements like a squat or a reverse lunge knee up. Only the isolated strength exercises are probably not enough for you, and transfer this strength to running. You need to train more into running specific exercises. Running is all about absorbing and reusing impact forces. So to bridge the gap between the gym and running, I did plyometrics. Basically explosive and dynamic exercises that teach your body to handle the impact. During these plyometric exercises, you have to keep your ground contact time as short as possible. Some examples of plyometrics are jump exercises or skipping rope, for example. And by combining these two sorts of exercises, so plyometric and strength work, I try to teach my body to absorb these forces better. And for me, I think this massively reduced the strain on my medial shin. Also, don't expect overnight success because you need to create structural change in your tissue. This will take multiple weeks of consistently training. The last key adjustment I did was prioritizing recovery. And this one is often overlooked. If your recovery is compromised because of stress, lack of sleep, being ill, you need to back off a little bit and give your recovery the time. Basically, all the recovery comes from the same energy pool. Your body has a less capacity to repair your legs after a heavy training run. Listening to my body here made a huge difference. So I focused more on sleep, not necessarily on what my watch told me, but basically how much energy I felt when I woke up and how many hours I slept more or less. But I also focused on HRV, because for me this gave me quite some inside information about how much stress my body was dealing with in the night. But above all, what really matters is your ability to control your increase of volume, because even if your running form is flawless, if you increase your mileage too aggressively, you still have a bigger chance of getting injured. So a safe guideline I followed was I tried to not improve my running volume with more than 10% every week, and after 4 weeks I usually take a deload week. And this is quite a conservative way of increasing my volume, but I'm not in a rush and I want to keep running pain-free, so for me this is fast enough. And for me, what's important mindset-wise is you don't have to wait until you're completely pain-free in order to run. As long as your pain stays around 3 or 4 on a scale to 0 to 10, where 0 is no pain and 10 the most extreme pain, it's manageable, it's okay. Also, you don't want it to get worse during the run, and you want it to return to the baseline, preferably after 24 hours, but at least after 48 hours. Because then you're loading and not overloading, and this is exactly where the right adaptation happens. Also remember, the shin is a very sensitive tissue. So a little discomfort doesn't automatically mean you have to completely stop running. So this is how I managed to keep training for my ultramarathon despite my shin injury. And now I'm back to running longer distances again. If you're dealing with shin splints or MTSS while in the preparation of a race, I hope my experiences might be able to help you. If you have any questions regarding your situation, feel free to drop them down in the comments. And if you want to follow my journey on running my first 100k ultra, please consider subscribing, because I've got much more to share. Thanks for watching and have a great run today. Double runs, so 2 longer runs in one day. Also practice running with tired legs. So far, I'm feeling very good. I feel the legs are a bit heavy.
confidence. You think I give a fuck, that's what they do. You can't kill my confidence. You think I give a fuck, that's what they do. You can't kill my confidence. You think I give a fuck, that's what they tell me. All the fucks I ever gave, I'm